one way or another.
Judge Gorsuch is going to be confirmed. The way in which that occurs is in the hands of the Democratic minority. And I think during the course of the week, we'll find out exactly how this will end. But it will end with his confirmation.
Now, Republicans have 52 votes, but need at least 8 more Democrats to join them to avoid a filibuster. So far, 3 have come over, all representing states that broke for Trump: Joe Donnelly of Indiana, Joe Manchin of West Virginia, and Heidi Heitkamp of North Dakota. But the so-called nuclear option that McConnell appears ready to use if needed would change Senate rules, so only 51 votes would be needed to confirm Gorsuch, a move that's never been used at the Supreme Court level. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer says, don't change the rules, change the nominee.
It looks like Gorsuch will not reach the 60-vote margin. So instead of changing the rules, which is up to Mitch McConnell and the Republican majority, why doesn't President Trump, Democrats and Republicans in the Senate sit down and try to come up with a mainstream nominee?
Now, here's how this works. The Senate Judiciary Committee is expected to approve sending Gorsuch to the full Senate today, and that sets up the showdown vote likely Thursday or Friday. But remember, guys, Democrats are still upset over the blocking of President Obama's pick, Merrick Garland, so get ready for a big fight this week.
Boy. All right. Thanks, Griff. Live for us in D.C. Thanks, Griff.
Another tough week ahead for President Trump. Meantime, his top aide, Jared Kushner, is in Iraq, getting a firsthand look at the situation in the Middle East. Joint Chiefs Chairman Joseph Dunford inviting the senior advisor to join him overseas. Now, the surprise visit coming after President Trump vowed full support in Iraq's fight against ISIS.
Well, find the leakers. President Trump demanding action after a Fox News report on an Obama official unmasking members of his team.
But the mainstream media once again staying silent. Kelly Wright has the brand new details that are unfolding at this hour. Good morning, Kelly.
Good morning to you both. The president has called out the media once again on the Russian issue, calling news reports fake news. On Sunday, President Trump added a new tweet, this time calling for action to be taken to find those responsible for leaking information. The president tweeting this: the real story turns out to be surveillance and leaking. Find the leakers. Fox News confirmed last week that House Intelligence Committee Chair Devin Nunes received information from a pair of White House aides. Meanwhile, ranking House Intelligence Minority member Adam Schiff says it's too early to tell if there was any collusion between people within the Trump campaign and Russians during the presidential campaign.
I don't think we can say anything definitively at this point. We are still at the very early stage of the investigation. The only thing I can say is that it would be irresponsible for us not to get to the bottom of this. We really need to find out exactly what the Russians did.
The White House is blasting the media, claiming it is failing to report on the initiatives President Trump is taking to fulfill his campaign goals in making America great again.
Rolling back regulations, creating an environment where businesses are confident in hiring again. We've heard from CEO after CEO, small business owner, that they're excited about this president, they're excited about the economy, and yet the media refuses to cover that, but they're more than happy to talk about a story, frankly, that is just fake, and it's time to move on.
Still, the media, it seems, remains reluctant to move on when the investigation is still going on. Heather and Clayton.
All right, Kelly Wright, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Well, that brings us to Look Who's Talking. And this morning, it's former House Speaker Newt Gingrich says all the evidence of Russian collusion points to the Democrats, not the Trump White House. Listen to this.
I think in terms of the whole question of the Trump administration, it's an absurd story, but I think it raises 2 other questions. One is, was the Obama White House deliberately leaking, which would be a felony? Who was doing it? I mean, these are crimes. And I think that's a key part of this. And the other is, I think we should know what the Russians have been up to, but frankly, that involves the Podesta brothers, one of whom is a registered agent for a Russian bank. It involves all the different things that Peter Schweizer wrote about in his book on Clinton Cash. And it's ironic that all of the real evidence of real money and real influence buying by the Russians relates to Democrats.
So let's keep talking about this morning. Do you think the mainstream media is ignoring the evidence that's right in front of them? Log on to Fox and Friends' first Facebook page right after the show for a live debate. Use the hashtag #KeepTalking.
Now we have to talk about some extreme weather for you. Millions in the path of danger at this hour as a deadly storm system carves a path of destruction through the south.
Toys and furniture scattered among the debris in Beau Bridge, Louisiana. A mother and her 3-year-old little girl killed when a twister turned their home upside down.
The love of my life, my daughter, everything.
The state of Louisiana is now on high alert as the threat of more dangerous weather just continues to intensify. Meteorologist Adam Fox is live for us in the Fox Weather Center tracking the storm and has the latest. Good morning.
Hey, good morning. And yes, it was a big one yesterday, continuing through the overnight hours, continuing now here very early this morning on a Monday morning. These are 24-hour storm reports, and each one of these red dots is a confirmed tornado, or at least a tornado report as this swept across portions of Louisiana, still stretching down into some portions, but beginning to move more so, running you up into portions of Mississippi and now stretching into portions of northern Alabama. This big red polygon, that's still an area where we're under a tornado watch, so that's stretching right along the Gulf Coast. Could still see some severe weather here this morning, and it's all associated with this leading edge, that leading line of storms. That's where you're going to see the nastiest, most severe weather. So it's running up to New Orleans, stretching up farther to the north, and then eventually running up into, as you do head farther north, it weakens a bit. But take a look at this line, and it's every one of these yellow polygons, that is a severe thunderstorm. I dropped the radar for you there so this could stand out a little bit more. That's a severe thunderstorm. Winds up to 60 miles an hour. That stretches all the way down to New Orleans, and that red box right there, currently that is our only severe warned or tornado warned storm cell at this point, but we've been seeing those pop up pretty consistently as this entire line has been moving across the south, across the Gulf states. That's going to continue throughout all of today. I'll put this into motion for you. You can pay attention to your radar, to your timestamp in the corner. This is going to run all the way along the Florida Gulf Coast, stretching on up into portions of Alabama and Georgia, moving through the Atlanta area later today. This is going to continue to be a big story throughout the rest of today into the overnight hours, guys.
All right, as it pushes east. All right, Adam, thanks so much.
And we'll continue to cover it throughout the day as well. Well, the biggest stars in country music, meantime, aligning for a night of explosive performances. Also some big surprises.
Carly Shimkus with Fox News Headlines 24/7. Sirius XM 115 has some of the best moments from the 52nd Annual Academy of Country Music Awards. Carly, that's a long title.
It was a long title, but it was also a very exciting night. It was one of country music's biggest nights, and I got to say, nobody really throws a party quite like a country musician. Nashville's biggest names took over Sin City during the 52nd Academy of Country Music Awards. It was a night filled with glamour, fun, and quite a few high-energy performances. Doesn't that put you in a good mood? Co-hosts Luke Bryan and Dierks Bentley teamed up with rock legend Joe Walsh for a special tribute to Chuck Berry, rocking on stage to Johnny B. Good. But the evening took a noticeable departure from recent award shows by staying away from one topic in particular: politics. But that wasn't the only big surprise. Thomas Rhett took home awards for both Song of the Year and Male Vocalist of the Year, besting both Jason Aldean and Keith Urban. Miranda Lambert winning Album of the Year and Female Vocalist of the Year. She had a big night, besting Reba McEntire's record for most wins in that category. But Jason Aldean proving to be the king of country music, taking home the Entertainer of the Year award. And of course, the night wouldn't be complete without poking fun of the biggest award show flub to date.
This is I. David?
Emma Stone, La La Land. The winner is Die a Happy Man, Thomas Rhett.
Yeah, you got to get that one in there. And the evening also filled with nostalgia, courtesy of the Backstreet Boys. And it looks like no one was a bigger fan of their performance than Tim McGraw, who surprised the audience by giving the boy band a big hug. Now, listen, it was the Backstreet Boys, country music, no politics, some big surprises.
That's a good show. Yeah.
That's what you asked for.
Yeah, it's a good show. And I love country music anyway. And people have been saying all of these award shows are too political. Yeah. So they did it right.
There you go.
Are Backstreet Boys coming out with a country album now? Is that
only time will tell.
There's a lot of
you know what? They are performing in Las Vegas, so I think it was just a match made in heaven there.
Yeah. I was going to say they also have that cruise that people can go on.
A Backstreet Boys
They have a Backstreet Boys cruise.
Sign me up.
Yeah.
Thank you, Carly.
Thanks a lot.
Well, the time is now 10 minutes after the hour. A desperate search for survivors in a devastated city. Nearly 300 people killed by an avalanche of mud and water. The rescue efforts underway right now.
I think is a very unconstitutional and un-American policy, and trying to intimidate us into being what I've called fugitive slave catchers.
A liberal mayor taking aim at President Trump and his crackdown on sanctuary cities.
And if you watch HGTV or are a college-educated white woman, Tina Fey has something to say to you. Her outrageous message for the people who voted for Donald Trump.
But first, here's Keith Urban performing Blue Ain't Your Color last night at the Academy of Country Music Awards.
Good on that neon buzzing on the wall, but darling, it don't match your eyes. And I'm telling you, you don't need that guy. It's so black and white, you're still in your...
Hey, welcome back. You're watching Fox and Friends First, 15 minutes now after the hour. A liberal mayor taking aim at our commander-in-chief for enforcing the law, slamming sanctuary city threats in this controversial interview. Watch.
Targeting sanctuary cities is a way for them to tell mayors and other folks, around the country, one, that they're sticking to what I think is a very unconstitutional and un-American policy, and trying to intimidate us into being what I've called fugitive slave catchers, to run around and do their bidding in our cities.
Mayor Baraka's comments coming a week after Attorney General Jeff Sessions threatened to withhold federal funding from cities that protect illegals.
Well, New York, another city promising to keep their sanctuary status, but the NYPD not on board. Instead, police are following the rules, tipping off the feds about illegal criminals. According to the Daily News, police alert ICE agents when an illegal immigrant is due in court, saying that contacting immigration is part of the warrant process.
Now, Fox Business Alert now, thousands of cars being pulled off the road for fear that they could roll away when they're in the park position. You don't want that.
No, that's not a good thing. Cheryl Casoni from our sister network, Fox Business, here with what we all need to know before heading out the door this morning. Good morning.
Especially if you drive the Ford F-250, guys. Good morning. Yeah, this recall, and these are newer trucks, we should say, affecting 52,000 of these vehicles. The F-250, the 6.2-liter model, to be exact here. No accidents or injuries reported, but yes, because of a manufacturing defect, the truck can actually be in park and still will roll away, which could be dangerous. These trucks were made between October 2015 up until now. They will fix it, but you've got to be aware and take the truck in.
All right, the store where I get all of my vanilla scented candles, Bed Bath and Beyond, they were in some hot water this weekend, but might be for nothing.
I thought you were a vanilla cinnamon spice type of guy. Yeah, so they basically have come out and said, wait a minute, grab your wallet. The hashtag, of course, campaign against all Ivanka Trump products and Trump products in general, said that Bed Bath & Beyond had stopped carrying Ivanka's products. Not so fast. Bed Bath said this was a customer service agent who was wrong. We still carry in some stores in some markets where it sells Ivanka Trump line, and they also said we don't play politics. We just sell merchandise. So they did not cave to hashtag grab your wallet. Good for you.
Yeah, so you can still get your vanilla scented candles. But you might not be able to afford it because I think you did some shopping this weekend and maybe you bid on a Ferrari.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
I had to bid in on President Trump's old car. Is that right?
There you go. You went to Best Buy and then you moved over to So exactly. So this Ferrari that he actually bought brand new back in 2007 was auctioned off, and it actually went for a record price for this type of model and this type of year. The Ferrari, I got $270,000 at auction. These normally usually sell for $125 to $175, so there was a premium. The auctioneers played Hail to the Chief over the loudspeakers as they debuted the car at auction. Now, he sold it back in 2011 and only had, though, 2,400 miles. So President Trump not really driving the Ferrari many miles.
I think he has drivers.
Yeah, and helicopters.
No, well, he was driving something else. He didn't drive this thing, but
nice car.
Hot car, yeah.
Very nice car.
Thanks, Cheryl.
You bet.
Thank you. Well, the time now is 18 minutes after the top of the hour, and a horrifying carjacking caught on camera. The shocking moment that a woman fights back, dousing her attacker in gasoline, and then she's dragged by her own car.
I have been waiting so long to ask you this. Stephanie Nicole Garcia Colas, will you marry me?
And it wasn't the sound of a SmackDown that got fans roaring at WrestleMania. John Cena's big moment everyone is talking about.
But first, here's Florida Georgia Lines team up with the Backstreet Boys we were talking about at the ACMs last night. Welcome back to Fox and Friends First. The images are simply horrifying. Look at this. It's an avalanche of water that destroyed this town in Colombia. Rescuers using their bare hands to dig, desperately searching for survivors. Over 250 people, mostly children, confirmed dead. Hundreds are still missing. Days of heavy rain flooding 3 rivers near the city, bursting their banks, blamed for this lethal mix of water and dirt taking over as people were sleeping. And the search for a ship that just disappeared at sea. It is intensifying at this hour. That's what the ship looks like. The South Korean vessel, it's called the Stellar Daisy, traveling from Brazil to China, vanishing along with 22 people in the South Atlantic. Now, the ship sent out a distress call 1,500 miles from shore saying that it was taking water. 2 people were rescued, found in a life raft. Other lifeboats, though, turned up empty.
Well, right now, officials in Atlanta are scrambling to prevent a transportation crisis before the morning rush hour. Remember this last week? Millions now facing commuting reality after this massive inferno caused a bridge to collapse on the heavily used Interstate 85. Basil Ellaby is the guy's name. He's accused of smoking crack under the bridge, igniting the blaze. He's now facing arson charges. It'll take several months to fix the main interstate. Well, comedian Tina Fey speaking out over her disappointment in American politics, but many people aren't laughing. Watch.
A lot of this election was turned by kind of white, college-educated women who now would maybe like to forget about this election and go back to watching HGTV. And I would want to urge them to, like, you can't look away, because it doesn't affect you this minute, but it's going to affect you eventually.
The actress sparking outrage speaking at an ACLU benefit event. This isn't the first time she's spoken out about the election. Late last year, she claimed President Trump couldn't muster the dignity of a 7th grader.
Well, a WrestleMania wedding is now in the works. John Cena and Nikki Bella had just won their first tag team match when he did this. Yep, he got down on one knee and then he popped the big question in front of 70,000 fans.
I have been waiting so long to ask you this. Stephanie Nicole Garcia Colas, will you marry me?
And she said yes. They have been dating for nearly 5 years.
And then she put him in a suplex.
Yeah.
Guess who else was there? Rob Gronkowski. The Patriots star was in the front row during the Battle Royal. Wrestler Jinder Mahal throwing a drink on him. You don't want to do that.
And then moments later, Gronk jumps into the ring, gets into that stance, and then tackles him, takes him down.
A lot of celebrities have done this. You remember Donald Trump?
I do remember that.
Got in the ring?
I'm actually a fan of WWE. That's the secret about me. Yeah,
I am too.
It's kind of like a soap opera that you can follow along.
One of my best friends in this world is a professional wrestler.
Really?
So, yes, he is. He's one of the best, actually. Google it. Hey, it's 25 minutes after the hour now. Another Republican targeted in an open forum. This time, Senator Lindsey Graham.
I'm going to vote for Judge Gorsuch. I think he's a highly qualified man.
This as Republicans prepare to go nuclear. We're live in Washington.
Plus, Texas Governor Greg Abbott's awesome tweet about gun laws in Texas. Wait until you see this.
All right, my wrestling friend's name is Mike Quackenbush. Mike Quackenbush, you can Google that.
Good morning to you. You're watching Fox and Friends First. A little country music for the CMAs that were last night. I'm Heather Childers.
And good morning, everyone. I'm Clayton Morris. It is 30 minutes now after the hour. Just hours from now, Judge Neil Gorsuch could move one step closer to confirmation today.
As he reaches the home stretch, the GOP vowing to go nuclear if Democrats don't get on board.
So what in the world does that mean? Griff Jenkins live in D.C. with the brewing Supreme Court showdown. Good morning, Griff.
Yeah, doesn't sound good.
Good morning, Clayton and Heather. Here's how nuclear math works. This is your lesson. Supreme Court nominee Neil Gorsuch is going to need 60 votes to avoid a Democrat filibuster, but there are only 52 Republicans in the Senate. So Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell told Chris Wallace on Fox News Sunday he will be confirmed one way or another.
Judge Gorsuch is going to be confirmed. The way in which that occurs is in the hands of the Democratic minority. And I think during the course of the week, we'll find out exactly how this will end, but it will end with his confirmation.
So Republicans will need at least 8 more Democrats to join them. So far, 3 have come over, all representing states that broke for Trump. They are Joe Donnelly of Indiana, Joe Manchin of West Virginia, and Heidi Heitkamp of North Dakota. One Democrat in a red state. The Republicans are watching. John Tester of Montana announcing yesterday he could not support Gorsuch because he refuses to answer questions in his hearings. But it appears McConnell is ready to use that nuclear option, which would change Senate precedent, so only 51 votes would be needed to confirm Gorsuch, a move never before used at the Supreme Court level. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer says time to change the nominee.
It looks like Gorsuch will not reach the 60-vote margin. So instead of changing the rules, which is up to Mitch McConnell and the Republican majority, why doesn't President Trump, Democrats and Republicans in the Senate sit down and try to come up with a mainstream nominee?
Now, here's how this works. The Senate Judiciary Committee is expected to approve sending Gorsuch to the full Senate floor probably around 10 o'clock this morning. That sets up the showdown vote, likely to happen Thursday or Friday. But this is going to be a whale of a fight.
Griff Jenkins joining us live. Thank you, Griff.
Thanks, Griff. Well, hundreds of liberals once again getting hostile at a town hall. Their target this time, Senator Lindsey Graham. Why? Because he supports the president's Supreme Court pick.
I'm going to vote for Judge Gorsuch. I think he's a highly qualified man. And if I have to, I will vote to change the rules because I'm not going to allow President Trump to be denied the same opportunity that every president's had for 200 years because you're mad.
Senator Graham also slamming the Democrats' plans to filibuster the nomination, calling the move a very dangerous path.
Some people not very happy in that audience. Well, President Trump, meantime, not giving up on his promise to repeal and replace Obamacare, now vowing to make a deal with the Democrats. Cheryl Casoni from our sister network, Fox Business, here now with those details. Good morning.
Good morning. Yeah, President Trump is threatening to, well, make a deal with Democrats if his party can't get an agreement on health care reform together. In an interview with the Financial Times published yesterday, the president said, quote, if we don't get what we want, we will make a deal with the Democrats and we will have, in my opinion, not as good a form of health care, but we're going to have a very good form of health care, and it will be a bipartisan form of health care. The Kentucky Senator Rand Paul, who was critical of Paul Ryan's original plan, golfed Sunday with the president and said afterwards that party members are getting closer on a compromise to repeal a repeal plan, and that he remains basically optimistic. White House Office of Management and Budget Director Mick Mulvaney also joined for a round at the Northern Virginia Club, viewed as a sign that the president is trying to negotiate with congressional conservatives again. Now, the president tweeted, anybody, especially fake news media, who thinks that repeal and replace of Obamacare is dead does not know the love and strength in our party. He also tweeted, talks on repealing and replacing Obamacare are and have been going on and will continue until such time as a deal is hopefully struck. No word on when that deal could be struck, however, guys. Back to you.
Lots of deals being done, or worked on anyway.
Thanks, Cheryl.
Golfing.
Well, to extreme weather now, 30 million Americans in the path of danger as a powerful and deadly storm system tears through the south.
Gosh, that's it. It's on the road. Holy crap.
Storm chasers steps away from a tornado as it crosses the highway in central Louisiana.
And just south of there, another twister claiming the lives of a mother and her 3-year-old daughter when the storm turned their mobile home upside down. A meteorologist Adam Fox is live for us in the Weather Center. As the storm moves east, what's the latest?
Well, yeah, it continues to track across to the east and eventually kind of running its way over towards the east coast. But we're still looking at a very active situation out there here early on this Monday morning. Let me show you what's happening as we see still stretching back through portions of Louisiana, but now beginning to stretch up farther and farther into Mississippi, even portions of northern Alabama. The farther south you are, the more likely you are to be running into some of this more severe weather. We're seeing that's really stretching from the Alabama state line back down towards the New Orleans area. Within the last hour, we've seen some of these areas along this line still spin up to tornadic levels, and either way, we certainly have very strong winds. And this is a look. You start to see these yellow polygons. Those are all severe thunderstorm warned storms. And that means winds at least up to 60 miles an hour, hail, very heavy rain. This is still a big system as it continues to sweep across the south. We'll be doing so over the next several hours. Here's your future radar, and pay attention there to your timer. Here's how it's moving, eventually working its way into, before the day is over, Mississippi, getting into Alabama and Georgia, running along the Gulf Coast. So if folks off to the east, they're going to be having to pay attention to this one later today into tonight as the system continues to develop. Guys.
All right, Adam Klotz in our Weather Center. Thanks, Adam.
Thank you. Well, the brightest stars in country music, switching gears now, sizzling in Sin City for the 52nd Annual Academy of Country Music Awards.
And the nominees for Entertainer of the Year kicking things off with an electrifying performance on a night that was truly about the music, no mention of politics at all.
Yay! And the night was full of your favorite country legends, as well as the new faces burning up the charts. The first award of the night, Song of the Year, going to Thomas Rhett for Die a Happy Man.
Thank you guys so much.
Rhett also taking home Best Male Vocalist, matched by superstar Miranda Lambert, winning 2 awards of her own. First for Female Vocalist.
Carrie can see me under the table. We've agreed on that.
And an emotional reaction when her name is called for Album of the Year.
It's awesome. And the big award of the night going to Jason Aldean, crowned 2017's Entertainer of the Year.
I am so thankful. You guys don't know how much I love getting up and doing what I do every day.
And for a full list of all the winners, head to foxnews.com. I like this hat.
I can't see you. I can use this hat right here today. It's bright and sunny in here. Well, time is now 37 minutes after the hour. A horrifying carjacking caught on camera. The shocking moment, a woman fights back, dousing her attacker in gasoline, and then is dragged by her own car.
Plus, millions of commuters in Atlanta facing a traffic nightmare this morning after this massive inferno collapses one of the most relied upon bridges. We are live.
And the evidence is right in front of them. Why is the mainstream media, though, ignoring a report that an Obama official unmasked Trump associates? A fair and balanced debate on that is next.
Well, a New York Times piece on the White House helping Congressman Nunes, making headlines everywhere. But a Fox News report on an Obama official unmasking Trump associates gets ignored. So why is the mainstream media avoiding the story? Here to debate, contributor to The Hill, Kristen Tate, and Democratic strategist Evangeline Gomez. Thank you both for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Kristen, I'll start with you. What do you think is going on here?
Well, if you ask the media why they're ignoring this story, they'll probably say it's because all of the facts aren't out yet. But all of the facts are not out yet in the Russian collusion story, but that doesn't stop them from covering that around the clock. The bottom line is that the media is ignoring this story because they flagrantly despise Donald Trump. We saw that during the campaign, we saw that on Election Day, and we've seen that every day since. And, you know, as the story is growing legs, it seems like Trump may have been right when he initially tweeted that he was being monitored. And, of course, when he first tweeted that, the media went out of their way to make him seem like he was crazy and inaccurate. Yeah, but now that it seems like he's right, they won't report on it.
But nobody's reporting the very latest. And apparently this surveillance and the unmasking actually started well before POTUS was, in fact, the nominee. Evangeline?
The issue here is, look, we've already heard from the FBI director that there is no type of support, no evidence for this wiretap claim that Trump has made. Number two, this unnamed source, who is unnamed source, one source, has this source reached out to other media outlets? We don't know. So there are a lot of questions. And so I think we have to make sure we don't get distracted, and that the real issue here is finding out whether or not Russia had an influence on our national election.
Yeah, well, the mainstream media definitely has used their fair share of unnamed sources. You could say that as well. Kristen, so in terms of following the story through, what do you think the impact will be?
Well, I don't know if the media will follow this story through. You know, we're talking about Russia. Again, there are a lot of holes in that story. There's no evidence or proof that Russia affected our election, but that does not stop the media from covering it. The fact is that the media will report anything that makes Trump look bad. They will report any stories that are negative about Trump while ignoring stories where it turns out Trump was right or that make Trump look good. This is just media bias at its finest, and I think people are starting to wake up to it.
Let's move on to what's happening this week, Evangeline. It's a big week ahead for the president. He's looking to get Judge Neil Gorsuch confirmed.
That's right.
Will there be a Supreme Court showdown forcing this GOP nuclear option to take place?
Well, there doesn't have to be. I mean, this is something that can be avoided completely. Look, There were a lot of Democrats who initially came out and said, we don't take a position as to whether or not we're going to support him. We want to have confirmation hearings, and we want to find out more about Gorsuch. For example, what type of decisions he had, his legal philosophy. And so that occurred. But what happened? What did we find out during the confirmation hearings? One, we found that based on a lot of his decisions, he supports big corporations over working people.
But
look at the frozen truck driver
case. Are they looking for reasons just because of President Trump? Because a lot of these Democrats had come out previously and they liked Gorsuch. They said he was a great guy. Kristen, and then I'll let you answer.
You know, Gorsuch has an impeccable record. He will be sitting on the court within a matter of days, but the Democrats will probably force the Republicans to use the nuclear option with a partisan filibuster. The 52 Republicans are set to vote for Gorsuch. They just need 8 votes from the Democrats. But what probably is going to happen here is Chuck Schumer will allow 6 or 7 Democrats to support Gorsuch, and these will be Democrats who are up for re-election next year in states where Trump won. This is just a partisan play by the Democrats. By doing this, they will give coverage to vulnerable Democratic candidates who are up for re-election while blocking Gorsuch from getting the votes he needs. The Democrats will go out of their way to sabotage Republicans.
It seems to be shaping up that way. We do know 3 Democrats so far that say that they would vote in favor. I'll give you the last word, Evangeline.
That's far, but the issue is this past Saturday there were protests everywhere in Cleveland, Chicago, and in Denver. There are people, I mean, the people, us. There are people who are saying we don't want Gorsuch. And I think senators have to look at their constituents and say, okay, what is it that my constituents want? We even saw it with Lindsey Graham. There were people at his town hall who, I guess you could count the number of people who supported Gorsuch who said yay on one hand. The majority of the people there were against it. So this is something that is really important. I think it's also really important that during the confirmation hearings you had a SCOTUS opinion that came down that was against what Gorsuch had decided while he was on the federal court.
You also have to always question these protesters and exactly what they do or do not know and their reasons for protesting to begin with. Kristen, Evangeline, thank you both for joining us this morning.
Thank you, Heather.
Thank you. Have a good morning.
Thank you.
All right, right now, officials in Atlanta scrambling to prevent a traffic crisis before the morning rush hour after a massive inferno destroys a vital interstate through the heart of downtown. Caitlin Pratt from our affiliate WAGA is live with all the commuting realities this morning. What a mess there, Caitlin.
A big mess. Good morning to you, and a little perspective here. Atlanta, people drive cars here. We do have public transportation, but most people enjoy commuting to and from work and school in their cars. So this is really affecting, especially this morning for the morning commute. Behind me, this is where crews have been spending the last few days since Thursday when the portion of I-85 collapsed, just pancaked in on itself. They've been working 24/7. Now,